Hello and welcome back to the Analyst Architect. Today marks the beginning of a brand new series, one that explores the human side of AI and how we can lead it with sense and soul. This series is a special collaboration with someone whose work I deeply admire and whose ideas are reshaping how organizations think about AI. Tiankai, it's great to have you here. I'm so excited to have you and I've been looking forward to this.
Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here.
For those meeting you for the first time, could you share a bit about your journey and what inspired you to join this video series?
Absolutely. I think I can go a little bit further back what my journey started with. And the whole journey for me in the data space started when I was graduating from my university, and I started as a marketing analyst. And I spent some time basically when social media and paid media and websites were suddenly all measurable. And I basically combined it with market research data. But in marketing, a lot is about consumer behavior, right? So I learned very early on in my career that beyond the numbers and the metrics, this is really about making consumers happy and trying to make the best out of marketing effectiveness by understanding the consumers. And that became a red thread, because then when I continued to join companies like Adidas, where I would then move on from being a data product owner onto being a capability lead, onto being a director and senior director for data governance, it all was kept in mind for me that the human side of data and AI is really the key there, because it's not only about what's beyond the numbers, it's also the things that make and break data and AI initiatives, because it's all about human beings working together to make it work. So now I work as a director for data and AI strategy at ThoughtWorks, which is a consultancy focused on data and tech solutions. And of course, dealing with clients as a consultant is a people game in the end too, right? So just making and building the relationships, being able to actually be a trusted partner of the clients and to actually solve problems with tailored solutions is really what I'm passionate about. And over the last 2 years, I've basically had a lot of time to also think about what that means for me to be human-centric. And that's why I wrote those 2 books, Humanizing Data Strategy, and now more recently, Humanizing AI Strategy. I think especially the human side of AI is very important nowadays, because suddenly AI arrived in the mainstream and a lot of people have access to specific generative AI tools, right? And it's less about making people use AI more, because I think at this point, a lot of people are doing it already. It's about people using it more wisely and for the right reasons, and not for the wrong reasons. So I'm very happy that you reached out and that we get to talk about it more, because I don't think we can talk about it enough, because most of the conversations on AI are driven by what's possible to do and what we can do, and not what we should or should not do with AI. And I think this series that we're going to do is going to be very excitingly focused on that.
Absolutely. And thanks for sharing that, Tiankai. Your journey really connects to everything we are going to explore throughout this series. So I think it will be a very grounded conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, one of the big reasons we are here today is your book, Humanizing AI Strategy. What inspired you to write it?
Yeah. I think, just building on the point that I mentioned before, right? I realized that a lot of people are using AI and there's a big hype around it. And that's something that I think in the history of humanity, a lot of new technologies were able to achieve, right? Let's go even further back. For example, let's say the car was invented for the first time, or the microwave, and all of these things. And they always had led to some polarizing effect or reactions first, right? So some people would see it as a big new thing that everyone should use. Some other people were really scared of it. And the same thing here with AI. And it's very polarizing nowadays to just use it and what to use it for. But at some point, we need to go to the middle. And I feel like when we actually do want to make AI useful and valuable, we need to consider the consequences of bad choices with it too. And we should not make the same mistakes again as we did in the past. So my whole idea is based on the experiences we made around technology adoption and new technologies. Let's know what is the right thing to do and do the right things to actually make sure people are using it with the right intentions and under the right guardrails. And that has a lot of ethical flavors, title flavors, etc., etc. I think it's also an important inflection point right now to do so and to talk about it. Because what I learned about AI is that if you don't consider the human mistakes of the past, then with AI, you can do the same mistakes, but even faster and at scale. And then it's irreversible,
Yes.
right? Like it's not possible to go back on a human note to the before. So I hope that with that book, right, we can think about the right things and do the right things, so we don't have to fail first to actually experience the mistakes, but we can prevent them in the first place and do the right thing from now.
That's very powerful, Tiankai, and I think it sets the stage for the whole conversation we are going to have. Like you mentioned, your book doesn't just talk about AI. It talks about people in the first place, culture, the purpose of AI, and the world we are shaping with these tools around us nowadays. Well, now that everyone has met you, let's walk the audience through the structure of the series and why we designed it this way. Ready for the tour?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Into clear topics that follow a natural flow, almost like a journey. We start with the meaning of human-centric AI, then build competence, explore creativity. We will talk about operating models in the AI era as well, ethics, and finally bring everything together into providing a humanized AI playbook from Tiankai perspective. But before that, we begin with today's episode. By the end of this episode, you will get to know more about Tiankai, of course, myself, and the reason we choose to build this series together. We will talk about what humanizing AI strategy really means, why it matters now, and how this series is designed to guide you step by step. And by the end of today's episode, you will have a clear sense of how each conversation builds on the next. In episode 2, we start with the why. We will unpack what it truly means to make AI human-centric, beyond the buzzwords that we hear every day. We will talk about how organizations can reconnect AI to human purpose, how to avoid the biggest misconceptions, and what a human-centric organization actually looks like in practice. I would like you to expect a grounded conversation about meaning, intention, and how to balance between automation and humanity in real-world decisions. In episode 3, we go into competence, the first C in Tiankai's framework that we will discuss. We explore what AI literacy really means, why every professional needs it regardless of their technical background, and how leaders can build a learning ecosystem instead of relying on technical trainings alone. We would recommend that this episode will help professionals understand the competency is not about coding, it's not about technical ability, it's about confidence, curiosity, and clarity when using AI. In episode 4, we explore creativity. We look at how AI can expand human imagination instead of limiting it. We will discuss the difference between automation and augmentation, the creativity traps organizations fall into, and how leaders can design environments where human AI co-creation become natural. In episode 5, this episode will take us into the organizational layer. We talk about how companies must rethink collaboration, governance, and decision-making when AI becomes part of the business fabric of the next-gen organizations. We walk through the barriers to cross-functional work, how to build trust in AI decisions, and what makes the AI operating model fundamentally different from traditional digital transformation models. This episode will help organizations move from isolated AI projects and POCs to a mature, integrated AI operating environment. In episode 6, we focus on conscious, the soul of AI strategy. We explore how organizations can embed responsibility and fairness into everyday decisions. Not just high-level principles, we discuss a common ethical blind spots, how leaders can build a culture where integrity is measurable, and the meaning behind return on integrity and its connection to sustainable business value. This conversation will bring ethics down to the earth into behaviors, choices, and culture. Finally, in our last episode, in episode 7, we will bring everything together. We help organizations and professionals translate the 5 C's, Tiankai's framework that he introduced in his book Humanizing AI Strategy, into a practical playbook they can start applying immediately. We will discuss how leaders assess where they stand today, what success looks like in a humanized AI ecosystem, And the single most important action listeners should take after this series, this episode is designed to turn ideas into a real, usable roadmap. Tiankai, based on these topics, would you like to share more insights into what the audience can expect as they move through the series?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you explained very well already that the episode structure also follows the 5 C's framework that I used in my book, right? And in a way, what I think it should be the case is that the framework itself shouldn't sound that groundbreaking, right? And it shouldn't sound that groundbreaking because it's rooted in what human beings anyway like to do already, right? Like we like to be competent, we like to communicate, and we like to actually collaborate, right? In a way, we just kind of forget sometimes at work, especially in technology, to apply it. And this is the part where I'm very excited to talk to you about the details of how we can bring back the humanity and the human traits and needs that we have into work intentionally, and especially to make AI successful. I think on top of that, what I'm really fascinated about is talking about the role and relationship that we will have with AI, right? So there's a lot of things where people talk about AI as a colleague, or they talk about AI as an assistant, or they talk about AI as only a tool. But somewhere there, we make conscious choices, right, of how we treat AI. I think that is something that is overlying across all of these episodes that we will explore and talk about more in detail.
Yeah, exactly. And I would like to add as well that each episode builds on the previous one and gradually expands the perspective. Like you mentioned, it's not a technical series. It's a human one, if we can say that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. So out of everything we have planned, what conversations are you most excited to unpack?
Yeah, I think the how we collaborate with AI is the most exciting one for me. And also related to that, how we are creative with AI, right? Because in a way, thanks to autonomous actions and generative AI, it feels like AI can do a lot that we human beings can do. But my theory actually is that it makes our creativity and our way of collaboration even more important, because all of those repetitive and tedious tasks that we can finally delegate and outsource to AI will make us have more time to actually focus on what makes us human: critical thinking, original thoughts, and all these things. So what does that mean in that new world, right? And I think this is something that I'm very excited about to explore.
That's awesome. I'm looking forward to that as well, especially because many of these themes are, I feel like they are left out somehow. Everyone is talking about the technology part, how we use this algorithm, how to embed this in our business processes, and so on and so forth.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, before we wrap this introduction and our first episode, what's one message you would like everyone to keep in mind about humanizing AI as they go through this series?
Yeah. I think this is now a question I want everyone to think about on their own. And that will continue to be more and more answered by ourselves, but everyone should have their own answer to it. Which is, in a world driven by AI, what tasks will always remain human, right? Which tasks and which actions will never be actually replaced by AI? And I want everyone to come up a little bit with their own answers to it, because it's not only about the technological feasibility of it, right? It's about what we as humanity are comfortable with to delegate to technology, and what we believe needs to stick with us human beings. So I want everyone to think about that. And that is maybe already on its own a nice reflection that you can have.
Wow, that's a great, I would say, message to end this episode with. Humanizing AI isn't a luxury nowadays. It's becoming the foundation for how we create meaningful responsibility and sustainable impact within our organizations and within our daily life.
Exactly.
So thank you so much for this call to action. Please, everyone, put in the comments whatever answers you have in mind. And by that question, this wrap up our first episode, the introduction to our journey together. In the next episode, we are driving straight into the heart of the conversation, the true meaning of human-centric AI, and why this mindset shift is so critical today. Thank you, Tiankai, and thanks to everyone watching. See you in the next episode.